Hey everybody, hope you're doing very, very well today. It is Tuesday the 17th, and this is week 3 of 28 days. I told you in the beginning that if you would share with me what you're praying and believing for in this year, what you want to see change, that I would pray with you, and I'm doing that. And my family and I, we're all doing 28 days of discipline, focused around changing something in our lives, focused around getting more in the Word, and it's been a great time so far. So I hope you're having a great time with it. And like I said, I am praying for you. So if you have anything that you want to share, put it in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts on these videos. And of course, share them with your friends, invite people in. I'm hoping that we build a little community of people who are just looking to get closer to Jesus and change their life in 2023, as cliche as that can be sometimes. I'm hoping that we can find some people who are willing to do that. One of the things I told you from the beginning is I'm going to be doing this 5-day Bible reading plan. And so I've been following along in this, and I hope you are too. It just gives a pretty clear outline of how to read. And one of the things I'm trying to do is just get the Word in every day. Even if, I'm not able to do the entire reading for the day. And I want to encourage you in this because sometimes we set a really, really big goal and it's hard to follow that all the time. And so we miss a day and then we're like, oh, well, I missed a day. I fell off the wagon. And then it's easier to miss the second day. So what I want to encourage you is this. Just do something. Just do something every day. You get a little closer to God every single day, and it makes a difference. It accumulates. In fact, when I was first starting to reconnect with the Lord, 15 years ago, I've been in ministry for 20 years, and like everything, it ebbs and flows, like every good relationship. One of the things that I did was I signed up for a daily Bible verse email, where just on my phone every day, and this again, it's been 15 years ago or longer now, but I would get a Bible verse, one verse, and I would just meditate on it throughout the day. Just read it over and over again, commit it to memory, think about it. And there were days that would go on, really a lot of days probably, where that would be the only Bible I would get. So I just want to encourage you in, whatever you get that, okay? Because just a little bit goes a long way when it comes to the Word because it's so powerful. So that said, this week I was reading because my theme has been, getting in the Word, and I talked last week about the power of the Word from that chapter in Psalms, Psalm 9. And this week I want to talk to you about a chapter from Mark chapter 9, a story that's pretty powerful to me because it's about a father who's desperate. And Jesus walks up on this scene, and it says in verse 16, Jesus asks this question, "What are you arguing about? What are you guys arguing about?" And the father steps forward and says, "My son is possessed by a demon." And this is a demon who would throw his kid into convulsions, throw him into the fire. I can't imagine as a father dealing with that. And if you've ever had a sick child in any kind of sickness, you can imagine, but a chronic sickness where it's basically, a form of epilepsy where this kid's being thrown into a fire, and that demon, this father knows it's a demon that's possessing him, and he knows that there's this holy man that no one really understands his power, no one really understands what he's doing, is coming to town. So what does he do? Naturally, he does what any of us would do as a parent. We're going to bring our son to that man to find healing, to find redemption, to find, peace for his son. And he does that, and his followers have already been there trying to deal with this man. And Jesus says, "You unbelieving generation, how long shall I stay with you? How long will I put up with you? Bring the boy to me." Jesus says, "Bring him to me." And I think that's a powerful statement. Because whether it's your son, your daughter, or some completely unrelated issue to your children, maybe you're trusting God for provision, which is a place that I've been in for seasons of my life. Whatever the case is, whatever you're believing, Jesus says, bring that child to me. Bring the boy to me. Then it says in verse 20, so they brought him, and when the spirit saw Jesus, it immediately threw the boy into a convulsion. It says he fell to the ground, rolled around, foaming at the mouth. Jesus asked the boy's father, "How long has he been like this?" And the man says, "From childhood. It's often thrown him into fire or water to kill him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us." So Jesus says, "Bring the boy to me." And the demon immediately recognizes the deity and the power of Jesus Christ. And Jesus says, "Well, how long has this been going on?" His entire life, the father says. And he says, this is just a powerful statement because Jesus has already said, "Bring the boy to me." And he already knows who Jesus is. That's why he's there. But he says, if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us. And Jesus' response is, if you can. And I think that's a powerful statement. And I shared the verse that he says right after that. I shared it last week on Facebook because I think it's the ultimate response. First of all, this father's already shown faith. He's gone out of his way. He's taken a day off of work. He's done all the things that it takes to get there in that moment. But he says to Jesus, when he's faced with the healer, he says, if you can, will you help us? Will you have pity on us and help us? And Jesus says, if, and then he says, everything is possible for one who believes. Everything is possible. Not some things, not a few things, not maybe it could be possible. He says everything is possible. And at this point, we've already seen Jesus, healing people. We've seen him feeding thousands with just a few loaves and some fishes. So we've seen him doing amazing things. Jesus says, everything is possible for one who believes. It says, immediately the boy's father exclaimed, I do believe. Help me with my unbelief. I want to tell you this. I want to pause and say, if you're struggling with unbelief in your prayer life, there's only one recipe for it. It's to begin to bring the boy to me. Jesus says, bring the boy to me. You have to start somewhere. So if you're struggling with your finances, you have to just stop, pause, and bring it to Jesus. Bring it to him. Every single day, if you'll do that, it doesn't have to be some big setup thing where you get the lights just right, and you get the music at the right volume, and you're having a big service in your house. Just bring the boy to me. Jesus doesn't ask for it in any other way. Just bring it to me. Okay? He says, bring it to me. Help me overcome my unbelief is what the Father says. It says, when Jesus saw that the crowd was running to the scene, he rebuked the impure spirit. He says, you deaf and mute spirit, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again. The spirit shrieked, convulsed him violently, and came out. The boy looked so much like a corpse that many said he's dead, but Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him to his feet, and he stood up. So Jesus, in just a couple of words, really, he didn't have to do all this. He didn't have to say, what are you doing here? What are you arguing about? Bring the boy to me. No, this hadn't really happened. He could have walked by and flicked his hand, and that kid could have been healed forever. But he wanted to demonstrate this point that if you'll bring the boy to me, if you'll bring the boy to me in faith, and I'm saying the boy, but I mean whatever's going on in your life, bring it to Jesus in faith, and this will happen. He grabbed him by the hand and lifted him to his feet, and the boy stood up. It said, after Jesus had gone indoors, his disciples asked him privately, why couldn't we drive it out? And Jesus replied, and this is one of my favorite replies relating to prayer. He says, this kind of spirit, this kind of evil, this kind of whatever your situation is, this kind of challenge, this kind of brokenness, this kind of financial struggle, this kind of marital struggle, whatever it is, says this kind can only come out by prayer and fasting. So I want to encourage you in that. So as we're spending this time getting more in the Word, we're spending this time disciplining ourselves, whether it be our diet, our exercise, taking care of our physical bodies, whatever you're doing. I want to encourage you to spend time in prayer and fasting, whether that be fasting food. So many of us these days, we need to do soul fast. We need to fast things that are taking energy from our soul, that have our mind, our will, and our emotions all kind of wound up. So whatever it is that you need to fast, consider that and pray about it. And then remember that Jesus says these things can only come out. These things can only be dealt with. These prayers can only be answered through prayer and fasting. I want to encourage you in that. Bring everything. Bring the boy to me. It's just a powerful one line if you think about that. In whatever it is in your life, bring the boy to me. And Jesus says everything is possible for those who believe. Guys, I want to encourage you. Know that I love you. Know that above all else, Jesus loves you. And I may not be perfect with this. I'm going to do this every single week. I may not get everything right, but I'm praying for you. And I'm trying to make a change in my life so that we can all be better believers. Right now, the world needs an empowered church, a church that loves Christ, is seeking him and getting close to him. So I'm glad that you're coming along on this journey with me. I hope you'll continue it. Again, like the video and share it, and just tell your friends about it. And I'll be praying with you, and we will see you next time. God bless you.